is a very powerful portion for the Holy Spirit to work, and it can really be further amplified by whatever you're playing on the key. So make no mistake, I'm not saying that keyboards takes precedence over the presence. No, doesn't make sense. The Holy Spirit can work without any single drop of instrument. Right? I like to tell my worship team that in heaven we all have auto-tune next time. So it doesn't matter if you are tone deaf and all that, right? So it is more powerful than that, but it's because of our really fallen, broken human nature that sometimes we just need a bit of help. We need a bit of push, and that's why we can be very intentional about the chords we want to play in the background. They can help over there. So one thing that I usually do will be these 3 chords. So you all can take a photo of this. This would be the generic chords that I usually use when I want to play in the background. Yeah. Yeah, you can take a photo of this. So as you all take a photo of this, just know that this is in the key of G. And the reason why I selected these 3 chord progressions to use is because to me, honestly, the best time to play on the keyboard is not during the worship set. I mean, it's fun, but to me, I really like to play in the background. I like to be the keyboardist playing in the background, supporting everything, because I feel like it's a very powerful moment. Words can mean a lot more things. It can really change the atmosphere, and that's where I also started off playing the last chord of the previous song. And yes, it worked, but sometimes that part didn't work too well for me. The minute when the pastor decided to pray for something very sad, it was the ending of the worship set, and I remember the pastor praying for, back then I think it was some world famine thing happening in some parts of the world. And the last song was about providence, and it's about of jubilee, happy and all that. And I just felt like the song lyrics and the chords, even though there weren't any lyrics being sung, I just felt that the intention was a bit different, right? And I just thought that, okay, then if I can't play the chords from the last song, what do I do? Then I just started to play some chords on the high octave, things like this. But I realized that I went home and I just realized that, okay, there could be a pocket here that we can do a bit more intentional stuff. And that's why I came up with these 3 chord progressions, because I believe that these 3 chord progressions can cover a lot of different kind of prayers. Okay, it can cover a lot of different kind of words that are being spoken out of the worship leader's mouth or the pastor's mouth. So for example, the generic chord progression that you can see is a G, D over F sharp, E minor, C, G over B, and D. Then we have the serious or sad sounding, which means that if the pastor is praying for something very close to home, something that, let's say, something happened in some part of the world, and the pastor is committing the whole church to praying that, then this would be the chord progression that you can use. Or if the pastor is praying for something hopeful, praying for salvation, praying for some parts of the revival in the church, in the heartlands, in the community, then the hopeful progression can come in. You can see how each of these chord progression can actually accentuate and underpin every single thing over here. So generic, you can see, generic is basically sounding something like this. So is it too sad? No. Is it too happy? No. Right, it's quite generic because it has a good mix. You can see in the chord above, the E minor is just in between the entire chord progression. So it doesn't sound too sad. It's only got 1 minor chord, but everything else sounds quite okay. That's why you do a little pause, the second half. But then when you go to the serious, sad kind of progression, that's what you can see, right? We have 2 E minor chords there. You should start off with a minor chord. You start very somber, very solemn. You can see the chord progression suddenly sounds so much more serious, right? It sounds like something it's really trying to match the energy or the words of the person who's praying. Then the last one is something way more hopeful. And so you can see in the chord progression for the hopeful, we are actually creating this mountain. We are going up, then we're coming down. Because when we talk about hopeful, we want to lift people up, we want to edify each other. And that's where the hopeful chord progression comes in, because we go from a G, we don't go to a D over F sharp, we don't go to an E minor, we go up to a second minor. You see how the chord is going up, you come back down. just keep repeating this. So these are the 3 chord progressions I've used. So maybe